The Discovery Dr. Helena Voss pressed her palm against the cold metal surface, feeling the subtle vibration that had puzzled her team for weeks. The ancient shipyard hung in the darkness of the void nebula, its alien architecture defying human understanding. Crystalline spires twisted through sections of biomechanical hull plating, while conduits pulsed with a faint purple light that seemed to breathe. "The dating confirms it, Doctor," called her assistant, Dr. Marcus Webb, from across the vast hangar bay. "These ships are at least 50,000 years old, maybe older." Helena nodded, but her attention remained fixed on the vessel before her. Unlike anything in human space, the ship's hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Where human vessels were built for function, this craft appeared grown rather than constructed, organic curves flowing into geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Any luck with the translation matrix?" she asked, turning to where Dr. Naya Okoye worked frantically at a portable terminal. "Some," Naya replied, sweat beading on her dark forehead despite the station's climate control. "I've isolated recurring symbols that might be warnings, something about the price of passage and echoes in the dark." The research station's communication array crackled to life, interrupting their work. Admiral Theron Blackwater's weathered face appeared on the holographic display, his expression grim. "Dr. Voss, we need those ships operational now." Helena felt her stomach drop. "Admiral, we've barely begun to understand." "Earth fell 6 hours ago," Blackwater cut her off. "Sydney, Berlin, New Tokyo, all glass now. The Korthak Empire has orbital superiority, and our remaining fleets can't break their blockade. Refugee? Ships are trying to reach the outer colonies, but the enemy is hunting them down." The hangar fell silent except for the station's life support systems. Helena looked around at her team, brilliant scientists who had signed up to study ancient civilizations, not to weaponize them. "These ships," Helena said carefully, "they're not like anything we've encountered. The power signatures are off our scales, but there are warnings throughout the alien database. References to crews that never returned, to reality itself becoming unstable around these vessels." Admiral Blackwater's jaw tightened. "Doctor, we have 18 million people trapped on refugee transports with nowhere to run. The Korthak are methodically hunting down every human settlement. If these ships can fight, we need them." Dr. Webb stepped forward, his young face pale. "Admiral, the preliminary scans suggest these vessels operate using some form of dimensional manipulation. The energy required would be enormous, and we don't know what it might do to human physiology." "Then we find volunteers," Blackwater replied. "Desperate times, Doctor. We're not asking you to fly them, just get them operational." Helena stared at the alien ship, its dark surface seeming to ripple in her peripheral vision. Every instinct screamed that they were tampering with forces beyond their comprehension, but behind the Admiral's stern expression, she could see the same desperation that gripped them all. "We'll need 48 hours, she said finally. "You have 12. The transmission ended, leaving the research team alone with their discovery. In the silence that followed, the ship's hull pulsed once with that eerie purple light as if it had been listening. Helena whispered a prayer to whatever gods might be watching, knowing they were about to wake something that perhaps should have stayed sleeping forever. The awakening captain, Victor Kane, had seen 3 wars and countless battles, but nothing had prepared him for standing inside an alien vessel that seemed to exist partially in another dimension. The bridge of the lead void ship rippled around him like water, its surfaces shifting between solid matter and translucent energy. "Systems are responding," reported Chief Engineer Zara Okafor, her voice tight with concentration. The brilliant Nigerian engineer had volunteered despite knowing the risks, her hands dancing over controls that reformed themselves at her touch. "But Captain, these readings don't make sense. The power core isn't just generating energy. It's pulling it from somewhere else." Beside her, Lieutenant Jackson Cross flexed his fingers nervously over the pilot's console. The former racing pilot had earned his reputation flying through asteroid fields, but this felt different. Wrong. "The navigation system keeps showing coordinates that don't exist in our reality," he muttered. Victor studied the holographic display showing their small fleet. They had managed to activate 7 of the ancient vessels, each one crewed by volunteers who knew they might not return. The ships hung in space like dark wounds against the stars, their hulls absorbing light and occasionally flickering with purple energy. "Dr. Voss, what's our status on the dimensional drives?" Victor asked through the comm system. Helena's voice crackled back from the research station. "We've identified the activation sequence, but Captain, the alien logs we've translated are troubling. References to time's price and the hunger of the void. We think the ships may be drawing power from the crew's life force itself." Before Victor could respond, alarms blared throughout the bridge. Communications Officer Petra Nakamura looked up from her station, face pale. "Korthak assault fleet incoming. 27 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts. They've found the refugee convoy." Through the viewports, Victor could see the civilian transports. 18 massive ships carrying the last survivors from Earth's outer colonies. Families, children, the remnants of humanity fleeing from an enemy that showed no mercy. "All void. Ships, this is Kane," he announced. "Prepare for dimensional phase. We protect those transports no matter the cost." Zara's hands trembled as she initiated the activation sequence. "Captain, I'm seeing massive energy spikes. The ship is changing." The bridge around them began to shift more violently. Walls became transparent, revealing swirling cosmic energies beyond. Victor felt a strange sensation, as if years were flowing through his fingers like sand. In the reflection of a control panel, he glimpsed his face, lines appearing around his eyes that hadn't been there moments before. "Phase drive activated," Jackson reported, his voice now carrying an odd echo. We're existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously." The void ships moved with impossible speed, phasing in and out of reality. To the Korthak fleet, they appeared as ghost ships. There one moment, gone the next, striking from angles that shouldn't exist. Victor watched as their weapons tore through enemy shields as if they were made of paper. But the cost was immediate and terrible. Around the bridge, his crew was aging visibly. Zara's dark hair showed streaks of gray, while Jackson's young face bore new wrinkles. Victor felt his own strength ebbing, his memories becoming strangely distant. "We're not just using the ship," he realized with growing horror. "The ships are using us." The battle was over in minutes. The Korthak fleet lay in ruins, their survivors fleeing in terror from weapons they couldn't understand. But as the void ships phased back into normal space, Victor surveyed his crew with growing dread. "Medical teams to all ships," he ordered. "Full biometric scans." The results confirmed their worst fears. Each crew member had aged years in the span of an hour. Some showed decades of wear, their bodies paying the price for manipulating forces beyond human comprehension. "The refugee ships are safe," Petra reported, her voice now carrying the rasp of advanced age. "But Captain, sensors are detecting dimensional instabilities around our vessels. Reality itself is becoming unstable." Victor stared at his reflection in the darkened screen. The man looking back was perhaps 15 years older than the one who had entered the alien ship, but behind him, the rescued transports were moving toward safety, carrying humanity's future among the stars. "All ships, maintain formation," he ordered. "We have work to finish." The void ships had awakened, and with them humanity's last desperate hope, no matter the price they would all pay. The price of victory. 3 months later, only 4 void ships remained operational. Captain Victor Kane, now appearing decades older than his 45 years, stood on the bridge of his flagship as it drifted in the shadow of Korthak Prime. The enemy homeworld hung before them like a poisoned jewel, its surface covered in the war machines that had nearly exterminated humanity. "Final systems check," Victor ordered, his voice now carrying the weight of accumulated years. Around him, his crew moved with careful precision, not from age alone, but because reality itself had become fragile in their presence. Instruments sometimes showed readings from parallel dimensions, and shadows occasionally moved independently of their owners. Chief Engineer Zara Okafor, her once dark hair now completely white, looked up from her console. "The dimensional cores are at maximum instability, Captain. The ships are hungry. They want to consume more than just our years now." Her eyes held a haunted quality. "I've been having dreams, or memories, from the original alien crews. They didn't just age and die. They became part of the ships themselves." Lieutenant Jackson Cross, his youthful face now deeply lined, managed a grim smile. "Explains why the ships are getting easier to control. We're becoming like them, part machine, part void." He flexed his fingers, and for a moment they seemed translucent, showing the control interface beneath. Communications Officer Petra Nakamura's voice cracked as she spoke. "Intelligence confirms the Korthak Supreme Command is here. Destroy their leadership and their empire fragments, but, Captain..." She paused, struggling with words. "The dimensional readings around our ships are off the charts. If we phase inside, their planetary shields, the energy release could tear a hole in space-time itself." Victor studied the tactical display showing the 4 remaining void ships. His flagship Ethereal, Commander Lin Zhao's Phantom, Captain Dmitry Volkov's Wraith, and Captain Amara Singh's Shadow. Each ship was crewed by people who had sacrificed decades of their lives, who were slowly becoming something more, and less, than human. "All ships. This is Kane," he announced. "Final transmission to Earth Defense Command. Tell them we remember what we were fighting for." He opened a channel to his fellow captains. Their faces appeared on screen, each showing the terrible cost of their service. Lin Zhao looked ancient despite being barely 30 when they started. Dimitri's scarred features now seemed partially translucent. Amara's eyes glowed faintly with the same purple energy that powered their ships. "We all know what this means," Victor said quietly. "The ships need more than years now. They need everything we are to make this final phase. We'll become part of them permanently, fuel for one last strike." "The refugees made it to the frontier colonies," Lin reported, her voice echoing strangely. 2 million survivors, a future for our species." "Then it's enough," Dmitri added. "My crew is ready. We've already begun the final integration." Around Victor's bridge, his people were changing visibly. Zara's body had begun to fade, becoming one with the engineering systems. Jackson was merging. With the pilot controls, his consciousness expanding to encompass the ship's navigation. Petra's voice now came from the communication array itself. "Initiating final phase," Victor announced. He felt his own essence beginning to dissolve, his memories and soul becoming part of the ship's core systems. But instead of terror, he felt a strange peace. They had chosen this path to save humanity. The 4 void ships phased into the heart of Korthak Prime simultaneously. Reality screamed as they materialized inside the planetary defense grid, their hulls now composed of pure dimensional energy held together by the will of their integrated crews. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. Korthak Prime didn't just die. It was erased from existence, taking with it the entire Supreme Command and their war machine. The resulting dimensional shockwave rippled through Korthak space, disabling their fleets and shattering their empire. Weeks later, in the safety of the frontier colonies, Dr. Helena Voss stood before a memorial wall. 4 names were etched in black stone, representing not just the captains but all who had become one with the void to save their species. "They're still out there," she whispered to Admiral Blackwater, who had survived to see humanity's victory. "The ships. Sometimes our deep space sensors pick up traces, echoes of the crews who gave everything. They became guardians, patrolling the void between stars." The Admiral nodded solemnly. "A fitting end for heroes. They saved us all." Helena touched the memorial stone, feeling a strange warmth. In the depths of space, she knew 4 ghost ships continued their eternal watch, crewed by souls who had chosen to become legends rather than let their species die. Humanity had faced extinction and answered with sacrifice beyond measure. The price of victory had been paid in full,